Hey everyone. On today's lesson here, we're going to take a look at absolute value inequalities that have some different possible solutions. The possibility of having a inequality, an absolute value inequality be no solution, and also an absolute value inequality be an all real number solution or infinite. Okay, now looking at the first one here, we'll take a look at something that has no solution. We're going to go ahead and start solving this the same way we've done all of our absolute value equations and inequalities. We're going to isolate the absolute value first. Now what I end up with here is the absolute value of 2x minus 1 less than negative 3. Now, the reason this is going to have no solution is we know that this left side here is an absolute value, which means it has to be a positive number. Okay, now on the right side, we know that this negative 3 is a negative number, and it is not possible to have a positive number less than a negative number. Okay, so now that means that this one here is going to have no solution, which means when I look at my number line here, I'm going to shade nothing on the number line because it has no solution, so there's no possible real number that could be a solution to this question. Now looking at the second one here, again, we're going to solve this by isolating our absolute value. And I get 5 minus 4x in the absolute value greater than a negative 2. Now the difference here, compared to our last one, is on the left side, I'm still getting a positive number because that's going to be our absolute value, which means that has to be positive. And we know that that's going to have to be greater than the right side, which is a negative value. Okay. Now, with this one, we know that every single positive value is greater than our negative value. So no matter what positive number I have, because an absolute value is always positive, that means that no matter what number I put in for x, whether it be positive or negative, it's going to end up being positive, and that means every single number that I plug in for x will give me a positive number, which will be greater than our negative number on the right side. So because what we have here is always going to be true, this one will be all real numbers, meaning I'll be shading the entire number line in both directions to show that it has all real numbers. Okay, so what I highlighted down here is just a quick little explanation on the difference between these two questions. Again, on the left side, we know a positive number can never be less than a negative number. It is impossible, so that's why that one is no solution. And on the right side, we know that this absolute value is positive, which means it was always greater than our negative number. All right, so these are two different possible solutions that you could have to absolute value inequalities. For the most part, you'll usually have your standard, x is greater than some number. But these are also two possible different kinds of solutions that you could have to an absolute value inequality.